Some phrases sound supportive, but somehow they keep you in the exact same place. You're not quite ready yet. You're too valuable where you are. Be patient. Your time will come. On their own, these phrases may not mean anything. They can be normal feedback, bad timing, or part of a real development conversation. But when the same kind of language shows up every time you get close to a bigger opportunity, it starts to tell a very different story. Because some bosses do not need to openly say, "I do not want you to grow." They can use ordinary workplace language to slow you down. They can make it sound like guidance, protection, patience, or responsible management. But if the result is always the same, you waiting, proving yourself, and staying exactly where you are, then the words deserve a closer look. This is not about assuming every boss has bad intentions. It is about paying attention to patterns. The real question is not just, what did they say? The real question is, what happens every time they say it? Do you get more clarity? Do you get closer to the next step? Do you gain access to bigger conversations? Or do you keep working harder while the opportunity keeps moving further away? These are 7 phrases your boss may use to hold back your career without ever saying it directly. Phrase number 1, you're not quite ready yet. This phrase sounds reasonable, and sometimes it is. Professional growth takes time. Leadership, judgment, confidence, and strategic thinking do not appear overnight. So the problem is not always the phrase itself. The problem is what comes after it. When someone tells you, you're not quite ready yet, the next question should be simple. What exactly do I need to improve? What skill is missing? What result do I need to show? What project would prove that I am ready? What would need to happen for this evaluation to change? If your boss can answer those questions clearly, with specific criteria and a real path forward, that may be development. But if the answer stays vague, that is different. If every time you meet the requirement, a new one appears, if every time you get close, the finish line moves, if nobody can explain what ready actually means, then they are not helping you grow. They are keeping you waiting. A boss who wants to develop you gives you a path. A boss who wants to contain you keeps the answer blurry. That is what makes this phrase so dangerous. It does not sound like a no. It sounds like not yet. But when not yet has no criteria, no timeline, and no real plan, it becomes a very polite way of keeping you stuck. Phrase number 2, I need you to stay focused on your current role. This phrase also sounds responsible. It sounds mature, professional, and practical. It sounds like your boss is thinking about the team, the workload, the operation, and the continuity of the business. And sometimes that may be true. There are moments when your current role really does need your full attention, but pay attention to when this phrase appears. If it only shows up when you talk about growth, a promotion, a bigger project, or visibility outside your current team, it may not be about focus. It may be about control. Sometimes stay focused on your current role really means do not look beyond the role I need you to keep doing. Growth inside a company requires you to start looking beyond your current position. You have to understand the next level before you can move into it. You have to be seen by people outside your immediate circle. You have to participate in conversations that are bigger than your current job description. So if every time you look up, someone tells you to look back down at your desk, that is not development. That is containment. Focus is healthy when it helps you perform, but focus becomes a trap when it is used to keep you from growing. Phrase number 3, you're too valuable where you are. This is probably the most polished phrase on the list because it does not sound like a limitation. It sounds like praise. They are telling you that you matter, that your work is important, that the team depends on you, and that things would be harder if you left your current position. And honestly, all of that may be true, but that is exactly why this phrase can be so effective. When the operation depends on you, promoting you becomes inconvenient for the person who benefits from keeping you exactly where you are. It may not be that you do not deserve more. It may be that moving you creates a problem they do not want to solve. So instead of saying, I cannot afford to lose you, they say, you're too valuable where you are. Instead of building a backup plan, training someone else, or supporting your next step, they turn your competence into the reason you should stay put. That is the trap. What sounds like recognition can quietly become a justification for keeping you stuck. Being valuable should open doors. It should not become the reason every door stays closed. Phrase number 4. Let's talk about that later. Some conversations are always pushed into the future. The promotion conversation, the salary conversation, the conversation about your long-term goals. Every time you bring it up, something else is more urgent. It is not the right time. There is a meeting coming up. The budget is not clear yet. Leadership has not aligned. The conversation gets postponed. And later eventually comes, but the conversation never really happened. Maybe you had a performance review where everything went well, the numbers were strong, the feedback was positive, and the results were clear. Then, right when you brought up growth, your boss said, let's revisit that next time. Now is not the right moment, but the next time came, and somehow it still was not the right moment. Systematic delay is not always poor organization. Sometimes it is a strategy, because as long as the conversation does not happen, nothing has to change. And and as long as nothing changes, the person who benefits from the current situation does not have to say no. The delay says it for them. If an important conversation has been postponed for months, with no date, no criteria, and no sign of real intention, the delay itself is already an answer. It may not sound like rejection, but it functions exactly like one. Phrase number 5. I don't want you to be too exposed. This phrase comes dressed as protection. It sounds like someone is looking out for you. It sounds like your boss understands the politics of the company and wants to protect you from unnecessary risk. And yes, visibility can involve risk. Being seen by leadership can bring pressure, criticism, and expectations. But in the corporate world, exposure is not only risk. Exposure is visibility. It means being in the room where decisions are made. It means presenting your work instead of having someone else speak for you. It means your name starts circulating without depending entirely on your boss to mention it. So when someone consistently protects you from visibility, pay attention. If there is always a reason you should not attend that meeting, should not present that project, should not speak to senior leadership, or should not be the face of your own work, it is worth asking who benefits from that protection. Sometimes they are not protecting you from the risk of being seen. They are protecting other people from the risk of seeing you, because once the right people see your competence, your influence no longer depends completely on your boss. Phrase number 6. Your work is good, but your attitude? This phrase often appears when there is not much left to criticize about the work itself. The results are there, the deadlines are met, the performance is solid, the quality is difficult to question, so suddenly, the issue becomes your attitude. The problem with this kind of feedback is that it is often vague enough to be almost impossible to challenge. What attitude exactly? In which situation? Compared to what expectation? Measured by what standard? Was it your tone, your confidence, your questions, your boundaries, or the fact that you stopped making yourself smaller? A specific criticism can be answered. You can ask for examples, show evidence, make changes, and agree on measurable expectations. But a vague criticism about your attitude does not give you anything concrete to work with, and that is exactly why it can be so powerful. When they can no longer argue with your results, they may start arguing with the way you take up space. And sometimes attitude simply means your confidence has started making someone uncomfortable. Phrase number 7. Be patient. Your time will come. This may be the hardest phrase on the list because it usually arrives at the exact moment you most need to hear it. You are tired. You have been working hard. You feel overlooked. You are starting to wonder whether your effort is actually leading anywhere. Then someone tells you, be patient. Your time will come. And because you want to believe that your work matters, the phrase can feel comforting. It gives you hope. It makes you think maybe there is a plan. Maybe someone sees you. Maybe the opportunity is just around the corner. But hope without structure can keep you waiting for years. The question is not whether patience is good. Patience can be powerful when there is a real path attached to it. But that path needs dates, criteria, expectations, and visible progress. What needs to happen? Who needs to approve it? When will it be discussed again? What would make you ready? What concrete step is being taken? When your time will come is not attached to anything real. Patience stops being a strategy. It becomes a waiting room. And the most important question is not whether you can wait a little longer. The question is whether that waiting room has a door. None of these phrases proves by itself that your boss is trying to hold you back. What changes the meaning is not the phrase. It is the pattern. If these words always appear when you ask for more, when you get close to an opportunity, or when your name starts to circulate, stop listening only to the words and start watching the effect. Because sometimes a career is not held back with a direct no. Sometimes it is held back with phrases that keep you waiting, keep you proving yourself, and keep you exactly where someone else needs you to be. If this video helped you recognize something you have been living but could not quite name, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Every week, we talk about the real dynamics of the corporate world, the things people rarely say out loud at work, and how to protect your career with intelligence. Like this video if any of these phrases sounded a little too familiar, and in the next video, we are going to talk about how to respond when your boss is holding you back without making yourself look difficult.